All right, you get all three of us today. We're going to be talking about the top things that we do to stay in remission with our IBD. So a little more of a personal topic rather than we always come at you with lots of science and lots of thoughts around nutrition, but we want to share a little bit of our more of our personal experience. So, and this was your idea, Danielle. So maybe you can start us off with telling people a little bit about what made you want to talk about this in particular?
Yeah. Well, let's see. What made me want to talk about this? Feel like we kind of got a little hint from one of the question boxes that we put up on Instagram of kind of like what did people recommend or dietitians recommend like diet wise around, you know, preventing flares or trying your best to just stay in a good spot as much as you can because I mean, IBD can be unpredictable, but we still can focus on the things that we know we can control, and that can be quite powerful. I feel that for a lot of people, myself included, it's easy to focus on everything else that's out of my control because you can catastrophize easy, I feel, with this disease
Yeah.
at times. But there is so much that we can control, and I'm excited to talk about it today.
Yeah, me too. And I think something that I've talked about before is how when things are good, it's tempting to go off like it's tempting to go off your treatment path like in some
Mhm.
realm or maybe lose focus with monitoring it. I know like that's something that I've dealt with in the past year or two is just remembering that you still have it and there's still something to monitor and to look at so that you can stay in a good spot and not, not have it be so cyclical.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
agree.
So I guess on that topic, who wants to go first is one of their favorite things that they like to do to help their gut and body out.
Uh, why don't you start us off with maybe one, Danielle?
Me? Okay. I have a little list. So
Maybe you had a list.
yeah. One of the things that I have found super helpful is having some sort of physical activity routine. Why? So that it can help with myself, like to build stress resilience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I notice like a huge change in myself when I like don't go for a walk. I feel like I'm a different person. You know, when you like haven't gone for a walk or, gone to the gym in a day or a week, right? Like, I don't know. But I feel like that's such a big thing, not only for my mental health, but, on a cellular level, it's good for the body.
Yeah. That was the first thing that when I was thinking about it right before we got on, I was the very first thing that came to mind was
Mm.
just how important that is just at a foundational level. And I think all three of us talk about how we're doing that when we come to our meetings. Just because it's fun to talk about. But also, yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind is just like I've been doing weightlifting for a while, and I think that's really important for your bone health and just building strength, especially as you age. But then, the other side of that, something that I've really wanted to focus more on in the next couple months is just sweating, like getting outside and sweating, actually moving your body in a way and there's so much like of a calm benefit that you get from doing that, just feeling more grounded, feeling more at peace. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's funny. That's the first on my list too. I put it under the umbrella of managing stress. And I kind of was thinking more so along the lines of like, I'm going to move my body every day. Like that's just something that has been a part of my routine for so long that that's not really in question. It's really like the how and what now of how that's going to look and what I'm going to do. And since I've been feeling really good, I'm kind of done having babies. I'm done breastfeeding. I'm kind of in a
Graduated.
new, yeah, I feel like I kind of want to take on some new challenges. And so I've been really kind of pushing my training a little bit harder. So I've been finding that I really have to be kind of careful. I have to really listen to my body and take what it's giving me, because I know that, you know all this stuff in your mind, but whenever you're actually like feeling it and noticing the changes in your body, you're having to kind of like be like, okay, let's, honor what it's giving me and like provide support where I need to. And so that's where I've been trying to like stay in that middle, that Goldilocks principle of, movement, and like not too much stress on the body, but not too little. Like I do want to see changes and I want to reach goals, but also I know I've got an inflammatory disease. I can't push that too far and go the other direction. And so, yeah, that's been kind of my thought process with just managing that stress curve and kind of staying in that happy spot. Yeah, so my body stays happy.
I really want to know from you guys what your let's say what the weekly regimen looks like for, or if you have a regimen or if you have a flow that you go through with your workouts.
Go for it, Danielle.
I guess for me, I have my lovely little like Garmin. Not sponsored.
I wish.
I know, right? I have my lovely Garmin, and I like that I have my goal for steps at 8,000 steps a day, because there was a time where I would shoot for 10,000 steps a day, and I would get that maybe multiple days, and then I'd be absolutely like gassed, like just so fatigued, right? So I'm like, you know what? 8,000 is my sweet spot. If I get more, cool. If I don't,
8,000. That's amazing.
yeah,
that is awesome.
Full disclosure, I don't hit it every day, but like that is something that I feel, just given where I'm at, it makes sense for me. It may not make sense for you, or hey, maybe you want to shoot for something higher for whoever's listening or watching. But that's one. And then with the gym, I like to do strength training. I usually like to go at least 3 times a week. Push day, pull day, leg day. Leg day is so fun, but you got to carb up for that so that you have some energy.
So true. So true.
Yeah. So
you like leg day the most?
Yeah. Like I do. But like, you know what? I like everything.
I know. I do too. I love it all.
Yeah.
I don't like upper body because it's harder, a lot harder for me than like leg day.
Yeah.
It just feels harder. Like, meaning like the gains are slower. Like
it is
way slower.
I know females are so scared of bulking up. I'm like, dude, I'm trying and I can't. So
it's hard. It's hard to.
Yeah.
It's hard to get strong in that area. It's hard to
and
build.
We're naturally like we're not built. We're not meant to have. We've got lots of hip and glute action happening, but that's just bare babies. So it helps for sure.
Yeah. What does your regime look like, Christa?
Right now, I usually do a leg day. Mondays are usually a leg day, maybe, quad, glute, calf, that kind of thing. And then I'll do a pull day. And then Wednesday or Tuesday, I'll be a pull day, upper body pull day. And then Wednesday, I'll do kind of a mid, length run, I guess you could say, maybe a 3-mile run, and then mobility. And then Thursday, I'll do a push day. And then Friday is usually another glute, quad, hammy leg day. And we always I'll go on 3 walks a day with the kids or just playing out. So there's lots of movement, but more focused. I guess that's what I've been trying to do. And then I've been trying to do somewhere in there adding some sprints, which has been hard. But my goal is between now and menopause, I want to put on as much lean mass as possible. And so that's kind of been my goal. And you lose power and agility, and I kind of like feeling like an athlete. So that's where some of the sprint work comes in, where it's just like, I feel like I'm young again.
I love that. I've heard both of you talk about your future selves before. I love that that most people aren't thinking like that far ahead,
Yeah.
We're thinking about, I don't know. I feel like the bulk of people think about like summer, like looking good at summer, but it's really cool to think about preparing your body for later in life and the benefits. I mean, we have retirement accounts, right? Like for
so
the future,
true.
but you also have your body that needs that kind of love too as you head into that.
I think, now I can't speak for everybody, but for me, I feel like chronic illness does that to you.
Oh,
yeah,
it does.
It does.
It makes you think about things so much differently,
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
And when things are acute and they're scary and, you don't even know what's going to be happening in the next 3 hours, of course, you kind of take what you can. But whenever things are calmed down and you have some brain space and you have more, margin, then take advantage.
Yeah. So the bulk of the workout, do you do mornings, evenings, midday? How do you arrange it?
I have no rhyme or reason.
Nice.
Like, oh, I have 10 minutes. Let's go for my short walk. Oh, Brian's home from work. Let's go for the half-hour walk. Yeah, what does my work schedule look like? Let's fit in the gym here. But I just make it a goal to be like, hey, this is happening today. Or, at least 3 times this week. Non-negotiable.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Do you do to hit your 8,000 steps, do you have to go on mini walks throughout the day, or how do you hit the 8,000?
Usually like a little walk and then a longer walk. And then I do a lot kind of like around the house, or like I have a stand-up desk. So just going back and forth a little bit when I'm writing patient notes can be helpful. So, yeah.
That gives you a brain break too. That's so nice.
I think when it is spread out like that, I know I said, let's try to talk about less science in here, but I think they say it's better to, break it up like that.
Exercise snacks. That's all over the literature.
Yes.
I love that.
I try not to mention that too much, but
yeah.
I love that because it kind of would mimic like what we would have normally done years ago. People would exercise, like be doing, it's kind of like functional strength, I guess. Like you're doing things in the yard or,
Yeah. Yeah. I love thinking about movement patterns like that because it's just way more realistic and it's way more like it tends to matter more. If you can think about, okay, when I'm 50, 60, 70 years old, I'm going to need to be able to do these types of movements and movement patterns. I need to train that way, or, I need to at least have the muscle mass to be able to do whatever I want to do as I age.
Absolutely. What about you, Ashley? What do you do?
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a specific time either. It kind of fluctuates. Sometimes I'll do evening, sometimes I'll do morning. I'll go through the phases with each. I've been doing, just to get myself to commit to a workout regimen, I started doing videos. They're kind of strength-based videos that I could do at home because I knew if I set the goal where I'm going to a gym, I'm probably not going to start a routine as easily. So I thought, well, let me start with videos, and then I know I'll commit to it. I know I'll feel good. I know I want to do more. And then now I've been doing that for, I want to say 7 months or so, some like strength 30-minute workouts and some walking as well. And now I think I'm at the point where I want to move from that to actually doing more gym workouts, going to a gym and having dedicated time just for that. But yeah, the other thing that I've started doing lately was doing walking every day. And that's kind of how I started off the year, is I was doing walking brisk 4 miles ish a day. And that made me feel really good. So I kind of got out of routine with that, but I've started to try to incorporate some of that and some running. But, running is something I love because I used to do it, in high school, college, and then after college. But it's just certainly been hard. Like my ankle still has issues every time I run. So it's kind of like hit or miss with that. But at least if I get out and walk, and that's at least a good compromise.
Yeah. It's so interesting too. I was just talking to a patient about this, and it kind of seems counterintuitive to like either maintain some sense of your movement that you've been doing. Like if you're in a flare, you're just not feeling good. It might seem a little bit counterintuitive to do that, but that really does help. And as long as we're not overdoing things and we're just kind of like, having some gentle movement patterns, but we're kind of keeping some consistency there, that can actually like help with the fatigue and things that we feel a lot of the times. I know that we're saying that without saying it here, like that helps us, that keeps us, feeling good and feeling like we're either accomplishing something or we're feeling like we're making improvements to our health. And so that matters too.
It's a very good point.
Yeah. Okay, Danielle, what's your number 2?
Oh, okay. The other ones, I don't know if they're in order, but one thing that, in the last couple of years I've made the switch on to is having mocktails,
Mm.
right? Like ditching the alcohol, having mocktails.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, often my mocktails are more so like bubbly with like a lime or a lemon wedge, but hey, it's still my fancy little mocktail.
Oh, they're so good too.
I love mocktails.
I
Yeah.
do too.
Yeah.
What's your favorite like version?
Favorite version?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is maybe like a little bit different, but every once in a while, I really like doing a virgin Caesar. And
Okay.
Caesar in Canada, but in the States, it's called, oh my gosh, what do you guys call it? Bloody Mary.
Oh,
Bloody Mary. Okay.
Except with the Caesar, I feel like it's got more kick and spice to it.
Okay.
So it's just like yummy tomato juice, and then they salt it up and add usually an asparagus or a pickle or something in there too. Or you can make it yourself, obviously, as well. But there is a local bar not too far away from me that makes a really good virgin Caesar. So
Nice.
salty goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That sounds yummy.
I don't think I've ever had one of those.
Like a Bloody Mary?
No, I don't think I've ever had one of those.
It's been a while, but I've had one. Yeah. I like anything minty and citrusy. So like anything with like lime, lemon, and mint. I'm down.
That is nice
that's
too.
Good. Yeah. Well, I think my number 2 is sleep. Making sure that I'm
Yes.
It's so important for me, and make sure I'm sleeping good. I've been dealing a lot with stuffiness at night, and so I started using, and that really disrupts my sleep. I have to start grinding my teeth more, like, if that's the case. But one thing I did do recently that has made a big difference is I use it's like a nasal prebiotic spray, it's called X Clear. I think it was maybe Taryn that might have recommended it a long time ago, but yeah, I spray that at night. It has like I want to say it has bicarb and xylitol in it, and
Wow.
it really helps with breathing. And then I use a nasal strip too, like the old school ones from the 90s that just open up.
I love those. I wear those all the
You do? Okay.
Yes.
They actually work.
They do work. And you get more congested in pregnancy too. And I would not be able to sleep. And I didn't need anything medicated. So I do those all the time.
Interesting.
Wow.
Okay, I have a question on that. I've seen, what's his name? Alex Hormozy. Do you guys know who that is?
Yes.
I've seen him lately, like on podcasts or like on Instagram or whatever, and he's wearing like one of those.
Is it black?
Is it black?
So there's these magnetic ones too that you can put back on. Yeah, and I bought one because I was getting marketed.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to try it out. But honestly, they're quite expensive, and because you have to keep buying the magnets, which is how they make money, I'm sure. But I ended up also just getting strips, and the strips work just as good. And I sleep better that way. I have to like slightly propped up because of the congestion. It might be something in our house. I don't know what it is. But yeah.
I hope it's not your cat.
It probably is. But well, I think it's a combination.
The cats.
It's a combination. We both were like, we're never gonna get cats. We agreed on that a couple years ago. We're like, yeah, I don't do well with allergies and stuff, and so, but then we changed our minds.
They're worth it.
Happen.
Yeah, but no, it was happening before we had cats too. So I don't know. I even saw like an ENT about it, and one ENT suggested surgery. The other one was like, I don't think you need that. It's kind of, I don't know.
Like deviated septum? Is that?
One person said that, but then, no, 2 people said that. But they I'm not sure.
Okay.
So I don't know. At the end of the day, and I've known people that have done the surgery, and it's a big deal. Like, it's a big surgery, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for now, the X-Clear and the nasal strips are working fine. So, but
That's
yeah.
good to know. I didn't know about the nasal spray.
Yeah. And I have a hard time sleeping, which is interesting that this is like my number 2, but so I have to do a lot of work to create this sleep environment. So I do that. I have red lights that go off at night. I have a sound machine. I have a fan. Like, I have all the things. And then I even take melatonin gummies. It's actually the melatonin one didn't quite work for me, but when I did like a melatonin gummy with CBD, that one seems to work just fine.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a really, sleep is huge. I mean, I didn't think about that one because I feel like I'm not in a time of life where I can prioritize sleep, but as soon as I am, I want to. That sounds wonderful.
That's hard.
But that's okay. I think it's wonderful. Mine was more related to, I think when I feel really good, that's when I'm like, man, I really need to prioritize diversity in my diet and try and make that more of a priority, as I feel like I'm constantly trying to kind of like hit some sort of fiber goal, but I kind of get into rhythms of, you know, what my whole family likes and what we eat, and, you know, just the mental space to plan everything every week, every day. So anyway, that's where usually, and even currently, I'm like, I really need to prioritize that diversity piece of things, especially when I'm feeling good. That's where my mind went.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say diversity, just for people who may not know what we're talking about there, you mean just like a varied amount of plants in your week?
Yeah. I'm thinking plants, and I can kind of forget to maybe rotate my whole grains and, you know, find some fun ways to bring in different sources of whole grains. So I was thinking about that. I was like, maybe I can start to use different flours, or, you know, different rice blends and different herbs, and just little things like that that can kind of just have some more variety in what I'm eating.
Yeah,
that
was on my list too, actually, Christa.
Yeah, me too. I mean, how could it not be, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Something we talk about all the time.
So true.
Yeah, I think with diversity, for me, I know I'm usually feeling really good with diversity if I can get in the kitchen and like trying a new recipe, or continually keeping some of that creativity and exploration present, versus just, there's other times when I feel like I'm in a rut that I'll just be kind of going through the motions, just like checking a box, you know?
Yeah.
So it is good for me in terms of exploring diversity to really make sure that I am cooking here and there and looking at new ways to try something.
Yeah.
I find like smoothies and making your own bread is like a really good way to like diversify your plants. Well, I don't know about every kind of bread, but the bread I'm making right now has like, I think 5 or 6 different plants in it. So it's just like,
wow. Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think we forget too that like grains are a part of that diversity. You know, they have a lot of soluble fibers. I know when I talk to patients too, they're often not thinking of grains as important. They're kind of thinking, and maybe it's culturally how we talk about food, like more diet culture talks more about avoid grains. But, you know, there's so much great research on the importance of the prebiotic aspect of grains, like especially oats and rices, and getting different colored rices and quinoa. And
yeah.
even though quinoa is not a grain, right?
Oh, yeah. Forget about that.
what are we calling it?
I feel like it's in my brain, it's listed as a whole grain, but yeah.
In my brain too. Like, I put it in that category, even though technically it's not. There's so many things It's like,
what is it though?
isn't it like is it a seed? Wait.
Oh, it's a whole like avocado. It's a fruit, but it has lots of fat.
Yeah.
Great fat, I will say, and fiber. But yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is true grains or seeds from grasses. Uh-oh. This is AI.
Oh,
I can't trust AI. I don't know if you guys are Googling lately and have noticed that like AI pop up.
The
You're like,
top. Yep.
sometimes it's way wrong. So if you guys are listening, be careful. Sometimes AI can be really, really wrong. Anyways, it's not a grain. Just like there's so many things like that that are funny about like peanuts, like peanuts not being a nut.
Right.
They're actually a legume.
Yeah.
Like what? Wild.
the main thing is just plants in general. That is what we want to focus on getting more of.
Yes.
Whether it's a grain or a seed or a fruit or a vegetable. Yeah.
Yeah. So diversity. Woohoo. That's a good one.
Can I add to that too? It kind of goes in line with diversity a little bit, is like cooking at home most
Yeah.
of the time. That's
Yes.
a huge one.
It makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
It does.
Yeah.
Not just from a money saving standpoint, but also, I think with how fast and convenient everything is becoming more and more of, like even in your restaurants that prioritize health more, they're still often stuck using things that are more, that are going to be more processed naturally, more they're limited by price and cost too, so they're going to be
Right.
using lower quality ingredients sometimes, and it is a good way to have a little more diversity and add a lot more health to your routine.
Yeah, I was in that same vein. I was talking to a patient the other day, and we were kind of talking about what to think through when you're feeling good and then versus in a flare. And I brought up, when you're feeling really good, start to create routines that you can lean on, whenever you're not feeling good. We don't know when we're not going to be feeling good. We don't know when we could potentially flare. We don't have any sort of, control over that. So like when you are, create routines like meal planning, or maybe freezing, single portions of things, or just stuff like that you can just rely on. It becomes second nature. So even when you've got a lot of fatigue or you're not feeling very good, you've already got stuff that's easy to prepare, and it doesn't take a bunch of brain space for you to think through. And I was like, I need to take my own advice here, because I'm really bad about doing that and having things on hand that are quick and easy. Especially like frozen that I've made, but I've frozen, single portions so I don't have to, I can just pull things out. But that was on my list too, of just creating routines that I can kind of rely on when I don't feel good.
Well, Christa, you were going to spend the $500 to get that meal delivery service, right?
I want to.
Yeah.
Maybe I can get a sponsor for that.
I mean, you can manifest it, put it out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, Methodology, sponsor us.
Yeah, I had no idea what that was until you showed it to me, but now it's like a level of bougie that I'm now attaining for.
It's kind of amazing. It's like a private chef, at your fingertips.
Come to Canada. Not that I can afford it, but
right.
Maybe once.
Yeah, I want to do like one day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, one day. Just see.
Yeah.
That would be nice. In diversity, one thing that I like to do is have leafy greens on hand.
Yeah.
And have them easily accessible. If you're not ready for, kale and destemming and all the stuff, then go with a box of mixed greens like spinach or kale. And I like to just grab and throw that into all sorts of dishes, like, soups and stuff and beans.
Yeah.
I've been green juicing it up lately.
And
it's
so
just
good.
Yeah, it's attainable for my gut right now until I start building more of those greens in. But it's just so refreshing in the summer too.
Yeah. Do you have local sources for greens available to you?
Funny you say that, because tomorrow I was planning on going to a local farmer to see what they have on their farm. But I wouldn't say overabundance, but I also can try harder to look for it. You know what I mean? I get so caught up in silly things in life, I feel sometimes, that you're like, oh right, I should go to the farmer's market.
I know. I say that too because you're further north than I am, and when we lived in Ohio, I had like an abundance of farmers markets or just like local farms that you could just go in and purchase whatever you needed to. And all summer long, I had just wonderful produce.
Wow.
And in Oklahoma, that is not the case. I went to the farmers market last week and they had nothing, literally not a single food at all. It was just like somebody made some chairs and there's somebody made soap. And I was like, I have nothing.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I
What
was
is it
like,
about the South?
I know. So we're just cattle farmers down here.
Very meat focused and
But
yeah,
the
not
red clay does not help us. Like we're just,
yeah.
it's so fertile up in the Midwest and, further
Yeah.
north. But I miss it. I really do.
Now, I don't know a whole heck of a lot about agriculture, but when I heard you say red clay, I thought of Prince Edward Island. Prince Edward Island is notoriously known for like potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
Is your state known for potatoes as well? Because PEI is like, red sand beaches. Like I would assume it'd be red clay.
It's a good question. I don't know that we're I mean Idaho, but that's further north too. I don't know that we're known for potatoes down here.
Okay. And, sorry, sidetracked.
I don't know. I don't think so. But our ground is like the worst. It's so hard for anything to flourish, I feel like.
But you are growing some stuff in your garden.
Yeah,
right?
I have my little raised beds. My herbs are doing really well. My tomatoes and my squash are doing really well.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
We'll see if I can keep it alive.
Well, you keep 4 kiddos alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You surely can keep a plant alive.
Yeah. And a dog. I mean, we're doing okay over here.
We're in Tornado Alley, like with tornadoes every other week. I mean, if you can do that, you could do plants.
That's true. That's easy.
Well, one of mine that hasn't been mentioned yet is vacations. Taking vacations is so important. And that could look different. That could look like small vacations or a day off or going somewhere like out of the ordinary. That could look like taking a week off, could look like anything. But I find that to be really helpful for me. I find if my gut's bothering me, it usually clears up. My scalp psoriasis clears up. Like everything feels better when I'm getting outside, being in the sun, getting movement, being in nature.
Yes. I agree. Even just the feeling of like, I can shut the laptop and I can be kind of not connected for a bit.
Yeah.
You kind of just melt and everything kind of melts away, which is so nice.
Yeah. And being with family or people that you can laugh with. I mean, that
Levity.
alone. Sometimes I'm definitely more introverted, so I can definitely get in cycles where I'll reach out through text, but not actually physically seeing people. I can get in those cycles. But then when I do, when I start seeing people again, I'm like, oh, this is so incredibly important.
Yeah.
To laugh and to be seen and to be heard and to go places. I think we've all had a little bit of a shift sensed in the last 5 years about what in person and what that stuff looks like and hanging out. I've definitely heard from our patients and I definitely experienced like, yeah, things are different than they were years ago. And I think also too, as you get older and your friends spread out and they have families and everyone's prioritized different things, sometimes we can lose some of that like connection and laughing. And so those things are, I think, really important. And I feel physically different, when I'm making sure I'm having a lot of that, a lot of laughter, a lot of downtime.
feel like that's full circle back to our stress resilience piece at the beginning.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so important.
We talked about a lot of lifestyle factors that impact our IBD. But one thing too that I always like to mention as well, because it's a big part of treatment for me, is staying on top with my medication schedule and my lab schedule to make sure inflammation markers are where they need to be, and same with nutrient levels. So staying on top of that is important as well.
That's a good
I
one.
agree. I know it's easy to get relaxed with that whenever you're feeling fine.
Yes, you're right. But yes, at least yearly, let's do labs and send your poop away, or do the scope that you need to do, that kind
Do
of.
the scope.
Yes. Yes, do the scope.
Yeah, what a good conversation. It's nice to kind of hear from you all like what that actually looks like. I don't think we've even talked about it as a group. So thanks for sharing, and I hope this was helpful for people, and we'll talk to everyone soon. Take care.